how's it going? We are live. Welcome to the No DQ live recap of Monday Night Raw for April the 19th, 2021. Shout out to everybody watching this in the chat room, and thank you to everybody watching on demand as well. Let's go ahead and get started with this Raw recap. We kicked off Monday Night Raw with Drew McIntyre coming off last week where he was attacked by T-Bar and Mace at the end of the show. He talked about opportunities, and he brought up how Braun Strowman came down to the ring last week and said, and this is Drew McIntyre talking, "Me want title shot first." So even Drew McIntyre thinks but Braun is a big dummy and he's supposed to be the company's top babyface. He talked about Randy Orton also coming out, wanting a match, wanting that opportunity. But McIntyre beat them. Two of the biggest superstars in WWE. And then T-Bar and Mace attacked him, trying to make a name at his expense. He thinks MVP is the mastermind of all this. What's next? Will we see T-Bar and Mace with suits? Are they going to take off their masks? McIntyre said he will get his hands on T-Bar and Mace and get himself a little bit of retribution. I see what you did there, Drew. He said he was feeling like a fight. We had MVP arrive, and MVP basically said that Lashley will defeat McIntyre again, and Lashley, the CEO of the Hurt Business, downsized. MVP made it clear that T-Bar and Mace are not part of the Hurt Business. And MVP said that maybe Drew made some enemies a few weeks ago when Drew was going through the locker room and trying to find out who was going to take him out on behalf of Bobby Lashley. And then Drew McIntyre went to the outside of the ring. He was going to go after MVP, and that's when T-Bar and Mace jumped him once again. And then backstage, T-Bar and Mace challenged McIntyre for a handicap match. Well, actually, they did not make the challenge. Excuse me, scratch that. It was McIntyre who went to Adam Pearce and demanded a handicap match. And Pearce was like, you need a partner, but McIntyre was insisting on a 1 versus 2 match. And T-Bar and Mace said that they were going to make McIntyre go extinct, like saber-toothed tigers and various other creatures. Shout out to Gerald, who said he finally got a chance to watch this live. Thank you for tuning in, Gerald. And I also would like to thank everybody that tuned in on Saturday night. I tried a different concept called Open Mic Night. And I did miss a few super chats that were sent after I signed off. First of all, Curtis Butler, who sent in a $2 super chat, said that it was his birthday. I would like to wish Curtis Butler a happy belated birthday. Thank you for your longtime viewership. And also, Caleb Jacobs said that Virtue's column title should be Virtue the Real Troll. Is Virtue even in this chat room tonight? Maybe he could respond to Caleb Jacobs, but thank you for that super chat, Caleb. And then tonight, TJS just sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you, TJS. He said, I'm ready to cancel my $70 YouTube TV subscription. The Unmasking was the only decent thing on the show. Raw equals background noise. WCW should have won. Well, young TJS, did you watch some of those 2000 WCWs? I mean, in some ways, they're more entertaining than what WWE puts out now, but WCW had some really counterproductive programming for several years. I'm not sure wrestling would have been better if WCW somehow won the war. Who knows what wrestling would have been like? I mean, that's definitely one of the biggest what-if questions. Caleb Jacobs with a $2.61 super chat. Thank you, Caleb. Says, the Hurt Business sure did downsize. Yeah, well, speaking of former Hurt Business members, We had the Viking Raiders versus Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin. I thought this happened last week. Nope. Well, yeah, it did, but they're doing it again. We got a repeat. It's like I thought I was watching a rerun for a moment. Not much to say about it because it was, well, pretty much the same thing as last week. Viking Raiders won with the Viking Express, Viking Experience. Adnan Virk called it the Viking Express, but he probably just doesn't know the name of the move. And that was that. Cedric and Shelton lose again. Psycho Jet Black with the $2 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, Mason T-Bar more over than Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin? Let's not get carried away here. I mean, with names like Mason T-Bar, I think even Ricochet is more over than those guys. People in the chat room talking about WCW. OG Crushes says if WCW won, wrestling would have been extinct. And TJS said he never saw WCW. Well, there you go, TJS. You gotta actually watch WCW just so you would know that, yeah, WWE hasn't been great, but WCW, especially towards the end, was in some ways worse. In some ways better as far as entertainment value goes, but yeah. I mean, there was some really bad WCW stuff. Like, there are times WWE kind of goes borderline WCW as far as the quality goes, but even the worst WWE in some ways is not as bad as the worst of WCW. OG Crushes with a $5 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, Mace and T-Bar are more over than EC3. All right, I'll give you that. Poor EC3. Poor Ricochet. They always get the insults. Hamp Kano with a $20, a very generous $20 super chat. Thank you so much, Hamp. He says, that show is the worst pile of dog shit that has ever existed. I seriously did not think a year ago that it could get any worse, but it has. And I had to suffer through WWE in 2015. I bet it's even worse next week. It's going to be, I hate to say this to you guys, but it's going to be a rough 3 months unless there's a major shakeup creatively. Until we get fans back and WWE is touring regularly, I think we're in a holding pattern. It's always rough after WrestleMania. Last year was pretty tough to get through. And I think this spring and early summer, it's going to be even rougher. The creative just seems to get worse and worse. No new stars are being made. It's pretty bleak right now. The only thing we have to look forward to is fans returning, and that's not happening until August at the earliest. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, happy to see people trashing EC3 and Ricochet. Well, of course, Psycho Jet Black would approve of that. Anyways, let's move on here. We had Randy Orton interviewed, and he said the Fiend will not be around again, and as long as the Fiend is gone, he can focus on the WWE title. He said Drew McIntyre got lucky last week, and Orton said he'll be watching Backlash, or excuse me, WrestleMania Backlash. And then Matt Riddle started circling around him on the scooter and said since neither of them have titles, maybe they could form a team, RK Bro. And then he sped away. Randy Orton went back to Pierce and said he doesn't know this guy's name, but he wants a match with him. What's funny is that WWE actually advertised Randy Orton versus Braun Strowman, first ever one-on-one match, and, well, we didn't get it. Maybe they decided to wait for a pay-per-view. I don't know. But yeah, they advertised it and then took it back. And they've done that quite a bit over the past year or two. OG Crushes with a $5 super chat says, I can't physically sit through a full episode of WWE Raw. It's literally impossible. I'll be asleep by the second hour. It is tough. And I know for me it's a challenge, and for some people it just cannot be done. I totally understand. And Kim Hall with a $4 super chat. Thank you all for the super chats. I appreciate it. Says, what is the deal with the birds for Riddle's entrance? I seriously do not know. I don't know if it's some kind of stoner reference. If it is, somebody please inform me. I have no clue what it symbolizes or what it means. It just seems totally random. Like, let's have birds fly out of his shoes when he does his entrance. CGI birds or animated birds, whatever. I do not get it. And I'm not even going to try to figure it out. It's, I guess, just a stoner thing. That's the point, I guess, that it doesn't make any sense. But I'm at a loss. Psycho Jet Black with the $2 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, Roadblock and End of the Line, those names are worse than WrestleMania Backlash. Or that name, I forgot. Roadblock, End of the Line was just one name for a show. Yeah, I mean, the WrestleMania Backlash, I suppose I get it, but it's not necessary. It's very unnecessary. Great Balls of Fire was not a great name. Great Balls of Fire, though, was a good pay-per-view with the whole Samoa Joe, Brock Lesnar storyline. Even though that pay-per-view had a crappy name, I remember it being pretty good. And yeah, that was the highlight of Samoa Joe's run in WWE. All right, so we had a recap of Charlotte's promo from last week, and then she came out and did another promo. And this one was not as good as last week's, in my opinion. Basically just said she wants respect. She's the biggest star of the division. She had a WrestleMania match taken away from her. She's going to beat up Asuka and Rhea on the same night. She could if she needed to. I guess this is a little hint of things to come. We had Asuka and Rhea Ripley both come down to ringside, and Ripley thinks that Asuka is going to beat Charlotte in the Raw main event. Charlotte laughed it off, saying that she ended Asuka's streak at WrestleMania. And Asuka told Charlotte to shut up and called her a bitch, which must mean that the Attitude Era is back. No, it's not, but we got a bitch line from Asuka. So I guess maybe like a slight improvement for this Raw letter grade. Not much. I'll say that much. We had Matt Riddle riding past Randy Orton to get to the ring first. And then we had our match, Riddle versus Orton. Riddle kept trying to put the sleeper on Randy Orton, just like WWE tries to put the sleeper on the entire audience. He did it like 4 times. WWE did it probably a dozen times just on this show alone. Riddle got slammed on the table. Vintage Orton dominated for a while. Riddle made a comeback. And we had Adnan Virk use the line, "Riddle me this," which I hope is not giving Vince or Bruce Pritchard a light bulb backstage and like, we got to do more Riddle me this and go in the full-blown Riddle direction with Matt Riddle, the Riddler direction, I should say. And Riddle hit a Broton for a near fall. Orton came back, hit a superplex, did the draping DDT, and then was going to go for the RKO, but Riddle countered it with a crucifix pin and defeated Randy Orton on Raw. Big upset win. And to answer Gerald, yeah, I guess Charlotte is a heel now. She is like the female Big Show at the moment. So Riddle beating Orton in an upset, like, I think I would have been okay with it if Riddle did not lose like 4 or 5 times over the past couple months, and also if Randy Orton did not beat the Fiend at WrestleMania. So Fiend loses to Orton at WrestleMania, and then Riddle, after getting his ass kicked by Bobby Lashley a couple of times, beats Randy Orton. I mean, whatever. Next up, we had Adam Pearce with Sheamus. So yeah, we had the new U.S. champion appear after missing last week's show. Talked about how he's the new champ, bragging about it. Pearce was telling him to think about the legacy of the title and brought up John Cena. And Sheamus said he'll do it. He'll do an open challenge just like John Cena used to do. And Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat says, I respect the Riddler more than the Riddle and Fiend. The Riddle was quite the character back in the Batman days. And I don't know what the Riddler has been doing as of late as far as movies go. But I do remember Batman Forever. That was a pretty good one. We had Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler versus Lana and Naomi in a tag team match, and this one I really did not care about. We had Shayna Baszler taking a cheap shot at Naomi, and then she stomped on Lana's foot. I mean, the champs were dominating this, but all of a sudden, Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke interrupted. They showed some footage from last week during the match with Mandy Rose slapping Nia Jax, and then they took her down, and then footage was shown of Nia slipping on the apron. Nia then, she just was so angry, she ran up the stage, or I guess walked up the stage, or jogged up the stage, and back in the ring, Lana and Naomi hit a double face buster, and Naomi pinned Shayna Baszler. Shayna Baszler is the new Fiend. She's the new eater of pinfalls. Why is it, I said this last week, why is Shayna always the one that gets pinned? Nia Jax, she's so protected. She never takes a pinfall. I mean, I would say neither of them should be losing, but yeah, if one of them has to take a pinfall, like, it's always got to be Shayna Baszler. Every time. Like, I cannot even remember the last time Nia took a pin in one of these storylines to set up a match that nobody wants to see. Mike B with a $5 super chat. Thank you, Mike B. Says, remember a couple of years ago when we boycotted Raw? We should do it again. Raw equals shit. Well, first of all, WWE's not going to listen. I mean, they'll listen, but they won't do anything. Second, people are boycotting with their remote controls. I mean, the numbers keep dropping, although Raw top 3 spots on cable. They got their Peacock deal. Like, they're not really sweating it, and any kind of boycott is not going to lead to any change. Chris Goldsmith with a $2 super chat. No comment, but thank you for that. I appreciate it, Chris. Hope you're doing well. And Father Adrian with a €10 super chat. Thank you for that, Father Adrian. He says, good morning from Ireland. It's 4:20 a.m. Buy yourself some Lucky Charms, Aaron. All right, well, I'm not the biggest Lucky Charms fan, but I might have to make an exception. And 4:20 a.m. sounds like you're having a good time over there in Ireland. King Alex with a $2 super chat says, I have not watched wrestling in 2 years, but love No DQ. Well, thank you, King Alex, for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. Even if wrestling's hard to watch, I'm glad you're still following along. All right, let's see where we're at now. All right, we had footage shown of Bad Bunny and Damian Priest after WrestleMania, just talking about the match, basically how great of an experience it was. Both of them talking in Spanish, and the announcers talked about how Bad Bunny's 2022 tour is sold out, biggest post-pandemic tour. That's what they're hyping it up as. And we had Miz TV with Miz and Maurice. No John Morrison on this show, by the way. And Miz basically said he made Bad Bunny a household name. He told Bad Bunny, "You're welcome for the sold out tour." Bragged about beating Damian Priest last week. Talked about the success of Miz and Mrs. And Maurice called Miz the greatest superstar of his generation. They talked about how they love each other. They kissed with some pyro. Maurice got the champagne ready for a toast, and that's when Damian Priest interrupted and said what actually happened was Miz cheated to win. Said the Miz has no balls. Maurice got angry about this. She started talking in French. Said the Miz will fight Priest, and Miz was not too thrilled about this, but Maurice wanted her man to take care of business. Priest was happy though, and he took a sip of the champagne, said it was trash, so Maurice took it and threw it in his face, and then they fled the ringside area, and Damian Priest wiped himself off with a towel. We had Matt Riddle meeting backstage with the New Day. You had Xavier Woods with this big musical instrument case, and Riddle was like they should put some birds in there and they should put some silver dollars in there, and then they all said at the same time silver dollar pancakes. This was dumb. We had Elias with Jackson Riker interrupted by Xavier and Kofi Kingston. Xavier had a bass guitar in that case, and during the match between Kofi Kingston and Elias, Xavier was playing Steve Austin's theme song, which I actually thought was pretty funny. I liked that. Kofi Kingston did the Steve Austin moves, the Luthez press and the stomping a mud hole in his ass and walking it dry. By the way, I've been watching that Steve Austin A&E biography, and real quick, I think it's pretty good, but I mean, there's been other Austin documentaries, and it's more of the same. The only real noteworthy thing so far, I think, was when Vince McMahon basically admitted he did not see anything in Steve Austin when he first came into WWE. So I guess they just hired the guy for the hell of it. No real direction for him. They just gave him a deal just because. And they had no real creative direction from him. Funny how, 20, 30 years can pass and nothing has really changed in the world of WWE. So people got to keep that in mind. Like back in 96, they had no idea what to do with Steve Austin, and Steve made it work with the Stone Cold character. Gary with a $2 super chat says, "Glad my Mondays are elevated. Hashtag support no DQ." I see what you did there, Gary, with the elevated comment. And as Uthman says, for those of you, any of you that are new watching this for the first time, I hope you're enjoying it. If you are, please give this video a like and consider subscribing and turning on your notifications for updates. NoDQ.com keeps you updated with the latest news. And I'm here every night of the week with recaps, live streaming, all that good stuff. Let's move on here. We had the rest of the match. I forgot to talk about the end. Kofi hit the SOS, but Elias kicked out. And then Elias beat Kofi Kingston with the elbow drop. Now, this was a night of upsets, I guess, because we had an upset earlier with Riddle beating Orton. But Kofi Kingston, 2 years ago, this guy was kicking out of everything. And now he loses to a flying elbow from a guy who has barely won a match in the past year. I mean, it doesn't really matter at this point. Like, I'm beyond caring, but still, I remember Kofi Kingston kicking out of everything. And now he just loses to a flying elbow. We had the latest Alexa Playhouse segment with her new best friend Lily the doll, and as it turns out, Lily's been around for a long time. We had these photoshopped images of Alexa as a kid with Lily the doll. And she talked about how when she was a kid, there was this girl that would not give her ice cream or share ice cream with her, so she shoved that bitch off the swing. Another bitch on this show. Really getting into the Attitude Era now. And Alexa said she broke this kid's arm and took all of her ice cream. And the teachers yelled at her, but Alexa's excuse was that Lily made her do it. And Alexa said, all of the little girls on the Raw roster, Lily does not like them. I guess Alexa's going back into the women's division. There was no Fiend or no Bray Wyatt on this show. So I guess Alexa's moving away from Bray Wyatt. Don't know what's going on here, but I mean, I hope they do something soon to get me to care, because I'm starting to lose interest in everything that's going on with Alexa. And she's been the best part of Raw for a while, but like, it's time to do something here and get something going with Alexa. If you're not gonna do anything with her in the Fiend, you gotta have her make her presence felt. Hamp Connor with a $5 super chat. Thank you for that, Hamp. Says, don't worry, we'll have the exact same match card next week, so everybody will get their wins back. It's so bad and boring, it makes me sick. Yeah, I mean, great point there. You know we're getting another Randy Orton versus Riddle match, and it might not even be at the pay-per-view. They might just do it next week. Orton beats them, and, you know, that's that. Maybe we get Viking Raiders versus Shelton and Cedric Alexander next week, or maybe they wait 2 weeks and do it again. Awesome JL94 with a $9.99 super chat. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate it. He says, hey Aaron, just making a quick stop. Here's a $9.99 for watching the whole 3 hours of Raw. I can't even pass 5 minutes without being bored with the lame content WWE is producing. Again, thank you for that. I try my best. It can be challenging. Tonight was definitely a challenge, but I'm all up for challenges, all up for seeing what I can handle. And so far, it has not gotten to the point where I just cannot do it. I'm able to get through it. It's tough, but I've been able to do it. So thank you again. Thank you to everyone for your super chats and commenting. And for those of you watching on demand, and this is for the live chatters too, let me know your own favorite moment of Raw and favorite match, and least favorite moment and least favorite match. Leave your comments on the YouTube page. Looking for more YouTube engagement, so just leave a comment. Let me know what you liked and what you didn't like about Raw. All right, next up, we had a recap of the tag team situation, what happened earlier in the show with Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. Mandy and Dana cut a promo, talked about how they are not the bullies Nia Jax and Shayna are. Nia and Shayna showed up, Mandy and Dana ran away. I still don't understand how this is supposed to make us like them as baby faces when they're scared of Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. Shayna yelled at Nia about Nia being distracted and costing Shayna the match, and warned her it better not happen again or else. And then Shayna walked away. Angel Garza showed up, random cameo, and wants to know what Nia Jax sees in Reginald. Even though we haven't seen Reginald in several weeks, but I guess now Angel Garza is going to try and be Nia Jax's new boy toy. I guess, hey, he knows. He's actually a smart man, because he knows Nia Jax is the one who's being protected, never taking the pinfall. So if you butter up to Nia Jax, you're pretty much guaranteed a good spot on television. Smart man is that Angel Garza. Darren says, how many times did you notice how many times they recapped the attack on Drew? I wasn't really paying attention. I mean, probably not as many times as the amount of recaps we saw for Cesaro giving Rollins the UFO at WrestleMania. We had Drew McIntyre versus Mace and T-Bar in a handicap match. MVP was watching the match backstage, and McIntyre was taking a beating for a while, but he made his comeback, hit the Glasgow kiss to T-Bar, and then was going to go for the Claymore, but Mace stopped him. Mace got in the ring. They both were attacking McIntyre, and since this was standard rules, they had a 5 count to break. They did not do it, so they were DQ'd. Braun Strowman ran down, and holla, holla, holla. After the commercial break, we had a tag team match. What a shocker. You guys know what this means. For those of you that have been following the channel for a while, this means letter grade down. And by the way, beginning of the show was also a letter grade down. When you do a rematch from the previous week that was not necessary, Viking Raiders versus Cedric and Shelton, it's letter grade down. So at best, this show was going to be a C plus after these 2 segments. Gives you a little bit of an idea where I'm going with this letter grade. It's definitely not above a C plus. I'll leave it at that. Anyways, we had the tag team match, and Strowman turned his back to his opponent in the ring to go after the guy who was on the apron. Stupid babyface, but hey, that's already been established by Shane McMahon. Braun, but Braun is an idiot, so I guess it's in line with the storyline. Father Adrian with a €5 super chat says, could we see Vince have a wrestler play a snowflake gimmick similar to the right to censor? It's 2021, after all, it would get some heat. There's a lot of gimmicks WWE could do that would be controversial, making fun of people, but I don't think they're going to do it because they're afraid of any kind of heat that isn't just the standard your town sucks or making fun of somebody's music tastes or whatnot. I mean, they won't do too much to get heat. So yeah, I don't think it's gonna happen, Father Adrian. It'd be nice though. It'd be funny, but I doubt it. Highly unlikely, in all likelihood. So back to the tag team match here. Drew McIntyre got the hot tag eventually. He took off Mace's mask, and Adnan Virk was like, oh my. Mace slapped McIntyre. McIntyre slapped him with the mask, which I actually thought was pretty cool. McIntyre went to town, beating him with the mask, got DQ'd though. And then he ripped off, or no, Strowman came in and ripped off T-Bar's mask. And breaking news, everybody, shocking headline. T-Bar is Dominik Dijakovic. Holy shit. What a shocker. And not only that, you're not going to believe this, but Mace is Dio Madden. Can you believe it, guys? This has got to be the biggest cliffhanger in all of WWE for 2021. Nothing can top this. I mean, this is peak WWE, the big reveal. I have to say, at least Dio Madden had a sense of humor about it. He went on Twitter and said, "It was me all along, Austin." And the announcers, though, they had no idea. Stupid announcers. Corey Graves was like, it's the first time we've seen them without their masks. We're getting a good look at them. Yet he had no idea who they were. Even though Corey Graves, familiar with NXT, and Dio Madden was an announcer on Raw. No idea who these guys were. Psycho Jet Black with the $2 super chat says, did you know that Tugboat was the Shockmaster? You don't say. That's what I thought when the Shockmaster tripped. I was like, oh my God, it's Tugboat. Or when Kane unmasked, I was like, oh my God, it's Isaac Yankem DDS. I can't believe it. He had that secret life. After he got burned in the fire, he went to dental school and got his degree in dentistry. Oofman Entertainment with a $2 super chat says, did you know Hulk Hogan was Mr. America? That's another big shocker. Like, when that moment happened, I was like, I can't believe it. Mr. America, Hulk Hogan. How did I not realize that? I mean, Mr. America was muscular, but Hulk Hogan muscles? I just didn't think he had it. All right, let's move on here. I guess this was the highlight of Raw with the unmasking. I would have done it differently. I would have just had these guys show up, no masks. Dio Madden, Dominic Dijakovic, but they did the whole T-Bar and Mace get unmasked, and what are they going to do next week? I guess that's the cliffhanger, folks. OG Crushes with a $2 super chat says, did you know that Jon Moxley is Dean Ambrose? Yeah, they kind of look alike now that you mention it. Good observation. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat says, did you know that Bray Wyatt was Husky Harris? Yeah, you're right about that one. I mean, they're a little big. They're big boys. Husky Harris, big boy. Bray Wyatt, big boy. I guess it's the beard, the beard with Bray Wyatt is just so thick. I didn't realize it, that they were the same guy. All right, let's move on here. We had The Miz versus Damian Priest with Maurice at ringside, and Miz and Maurice had a little bit of PDA before things took a serious turn. But Priest was able to dominate the match. Maurice had to grab his foot so Miz could get the upper hand. Priest, though, made a comeback, and then Maurice got on the apron, and we almost had a repeat of last week. Damian Priest turned his back to Miz. Miz rolled him up, had his feet on the ropes, only this time Priest had the power to kick out. I guess because it was a one-on-one match and not a handicap match. And then Priest quickly hit the, I hate saying this, he hit the lights. I don't like the name of that finisher because I have to say he hit the lights, and I don't like saying that. I just want to say he hit the pedigree or he hit the Stone Cold Stunner. Now I have to say he hit the lights. Not a fan. I like the Reckoning better, especially now that Reckoning's apparently going to SmackDown. Can't he just have his move be called the Reckoning again? ZOMG Ruler with a $2 super chat, thank you for that, says, did you know that Juan Cena was John Cena? I did know that. I did know Juan Cena was John Cena. He did not have me fooled, even though I could not see either of them. But that's the key. The fact that I could not see either of them was how I knew Juan Cena was John Cena. If I was able to see Juan Cena, then I would know he was not John Cena. See what I'm saying? Father Adrian with a €2 super chat says, did you know I'm not really a priest? What? You're kidding. You're not a priest? I'm very disappointed. I thought that was really you. But I guess that's just your YouTube gimmick, you son of a bitch. Psycho Jet Black says, did you know that Kevin Nash was Oz? I did not. But I did know that he was Vinny Vegas. I mean, once he had the jet black hair, I'm a little slow, but the hair, it was similar enough. But when Kevin Nash was Oz, like, he just looked so different with that blonde hair. I could not tell. OG Crushes says you should just say Damian Priest hit the lights. Sure. But then does that mean his finisher is called the lights? You see what I'm saying? Damian Priest hit the lights. No, it's he hit the lights. I don't know. Dr. NXT Scorpio with the $2 super chat says, did you know that Hulk Hogan was the third man? I thought Mabel was the third man. There's a little Dave Meltzer reference there. All right, moving on here. We had Sheamus come into the ring for a promo about his win. Talked about how he's going to be a fighting champion. He's going to have that open challenge. And that's when Humberto came out of nowhere. Like, this guy hasn't been on TV in about a year. Humberto accepted, but before the match could begin, Sheamus beat the crap out of him, hit him with the bro kick, and told the poor kid, "You're not in my league." Humberto's another guy that I'm surprised is still working for WWE, so I guess good for him, getting a little bit of TV time here. Edgar with a $2 super chat says, did Charlotte really just get fined $100K? Did she? Was that on Raw Talk or something? Well, we'll talk about Charlotte here in a few minutes, but thank you for the super chat. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat says, did you know that Rich Swann is a vanilla midget? Oh, that was mean of you. Rich Swann is competing in a big match this coming weekend. He is going to be fighting Kenny Omega, champion versus champion. Don't cut out Rich Swann. Don't give up on the guy. He could surprise you. He could beat Kenny Omega at Rebellion. Who am I kidding? He's going to lose to Kenny Omega. I should give away something. I'm that confident in it. I might have to do that. I might have to post something on Twitter. So be on the lookout for that at Aaron Rift. All right, so we had our main event. Charlotte versus Asuka. Rhea Ripley was at ringside. She sat down. You know what this means. Tic-tat-tat, Angel Garza was on the show. If you blinked, you missed it. He's teasing that he's going to be joining up with Nia Jax. So anyways, Rhea Ripley at ringside. You guys know it's going to be shenanigans. Flair hit a spear for a near fall. Asuka got the Asuka lock on. Charlotte got to the ropes. Charlotte put on the figure 8, but then Rhea Ripley pulled Charlotte away from Asuka, basically breaking up the hold. And the referee did not see this. Charlotte started grabbing at Rhea Ripley, and then that's when Asuka did the crucifix pin on Charlotte, another crucifix pin as mentioned earlier. So Asuka beat Charlotte, and Asuka was on the verge of losing, but she won here, so whatever. After the match was over, Charlotte snapped. She had beat the crap out of the referee, and I guess that's the $100,000. They didn't say it on Raw, so I guess it was announced on Raw Talk or on social media. I don't even know, so don't quote me on it. Nor do I really care, but they did say, Corey Graves said that Charlotte would likely be fined for putting her hands on an official. Oh, okay. Egger with a $5 super chat cleared it up here. Thank you, Egger. Says, got it as an alert from Bleacher Report. Bleacher Report. Easy for me to say. Said it was for attacking a Raw official. Don't know if it's key face or not. Well, yeah, obviously it's kayfabe. I think that's what you were going for. Storyline. Maybe she can do it every week and do the Kevin Nash gimmick, the Attica, for anybody that remembers that from WCW. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat says, imagine Ricochet being Nia Jax's boy toy. Hey, at least did we get him TV time. Ricochet's not very bright because Angel Garza knows how to get himself a storyline. You gotta hook up with Nia Jax. You gotta make that sacrifice in order to reap the benefits of actually being on television. Hamp Connor with a $2 super chat says, did you know that the higher power was Vince McMahon? Well, I do now, thanks to the tweet from our good friend Mace, aka Dio Madden. All right, so Raw letter grade. This was tough. This was not good. I'd say worse than last week. There were a few things I liked. I liked Drew hitting Mace with the mask. That was probably the highlight of Raw for me. The Alexa thing was okay, but I'm starting to get over it. Randy Orton versus Riddle was a good match, but I don't understand what it really accomplishes. Like, does it really elevate Riddle to beat Randy Orton? Like, just didn't see what the point of it was. So I'm going with a D+. D+ for Raw this week. I'd say avoid this show. Dr. NXT Scorpio with a $2 super chat says, this chat more entertaining than Raw. It tends to be that way, and I thank you guys for interacting and being part of it. You definitely help the time go by very quickly. Gary says 50 minutes of no DQ will pull a big number of viewership than Raw. Sometimes I just can't wrap my head around how badly Raw can be. This show gets an F for failure. Ouch. Let's see. I am seeing a lot of D-. MVP Kev, Don, Ron, and ZOMG Ruler all give it a D-. Curtis Butler and Tic Tat Tat were a little bit more generous with C-. Terry gives the show an F. And Psycho Jet Black says, with a $2 super chat, says, did you know that Rift Aronson is ugly as a brick? I agree with you on that one. I am 100% with you on that one, and thankfully we do not have to see him anymore. He is long gone in Oregon, hiking and doing the nature walks way out there on the West Coast. King Alex with a $2 super chat, thank you for that, says, is it weird that I still miss The Rock and the Attitude Era? Not weird at all. I mean, it's perfectly normal to miss things that were really good in quality. Like, I miss the Beatles. I miss Breaking Bad now that it's over. Glad we got Better Call Saul. So yeah, you tend to miss things that you enjoyed. And you dread the current stuff. Chris Benoit with a $2 super chat says, did you know I'm not really Chris Benoit? Wow, news to me. I thought you were Chris Benoit, but you have made me see the error of my ways. And yes, as DYEV says, I banned Rift Aronson after he destroyed my living room. And let's not talk about it again. All right, guys, so that was Raw. Avoid it. Do something else with your time. I would say even skip the YouTube clips. It's just not really worth it. King Alex with a $2 super chat says, is The Rock top 5 of all time? I'd say so. I mean, certainly star power, he's up there. Wrestler, I mean, I wouldn't say he's top 5, but overall package, I mean, The Rock, I'd put him on the Mount Rushmore of wrestling. I mean, it's got to be like Hogan, Austin, Rock, and probably John Cena. Might not be the most popular fourth answer, but that would be my Mount Rushmore of wrestling. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat says, I miss making fun of EC3 when he was in WWE. Yeah, and poor Ricochet now has to suffer because of it. He has to be the person that takes all the cheap shots since EC3 is gone. And Egger with a $2 super chat says, stick to NXT plus AEW? Yeah, I'd say so. Last week, I thought AEW was the best show of the week. NXT second, SmackDown third, and Raw fourth. And I'll do that every week. I'll list at the end of the week, I'll list of the 4 shows, I'll list my top to bottom. Last week, AEW, NXT, SmackDown, Raw. And it'll probably be like that most weeks. Maybe with SmackDown creeping into that 1 or 2 spot. But yeah, last week, definitely AEW got the win. OG Crushes with a $2 super chat says, this show is the drizzling craps. And yeah, I think it's a safe bet to say Raw is 4th this week. And Father Adrian with a €3 super chat says, Psycho Jet Black is really Ken terminated by Google. I always wondered that if Ken took on a different name, and that's what happened. He just has a new name. He never disappeared. Now that would be a little revealing that would truly surprise me if Ken terminated by Google was somebody in this chat room. Oh, apparently Ken jumped ship to Don Tony's channel. Oh well. Anyways, guys, thank you all so much for tuning in. I very much appreciate it. I'll be back for NXT, AEW, No DQ Review, and SmackDown. Hamp Connor with a $2 super chat says, I am unmasking, admitting to being hoof-hearted. There's a name from the past, hoof-hearted. Well, I appreciate that, Hamp Connor. Thank you for coming clean. I'm sure we'll all sleep better tonight. And on that note, I will see you guys next time.